Hi, I'm going to be talking about this strange little school I went to when I was a lot younger, and it's this that you can see here. This I'm basing most of this on a prospectus that I've found. This prospectus was published in 1976. I went to this school in 1979 to 82, and it is Broomham, which was, as you can see, in a hamlet called Guestling, which is near Hastings in East Sussex. Um, so yeah, I was age 9 when I first went there. It was my first boarding experience, and I left in 82 when I passed the common entrance to go on to a bigger boarding school. Lucky me. So during this, I won't use surnames of pupils or so I'm just gonna. It's kind of off the cuff. There's a few little notes I've got, but we're just kind of gonna ramble through some memories. So the school itself was founded, it says here, in 1952, and then moved from Arundel to Broomham in 1957, owing to the need for expansion. It says. Oddly enough, I remember seeing some pictures of the school, like old school photos. The first one, I think it was the 50s sometime, might be 57. But anyway, there were 3 pupils. I mean, maybe that was Arundel, but anyway. That's when it started. It was started by Mr. Rackett, who was well into his 70s by the time I was there. All I know about him was that he stood for, I don't know if he won, for the Conservative Party at some point. I don't know, to a council or whether that's to Parliament or whatever. I just remember finding an old board that said Vote Racket Conservative somewhere by the tractors there in the school. So, where is it? Oh, I'll show you that later. Right. Yes, nowadays, let's have a look at this. So nowadays it's known as Buxwood School. It's transformed into that. Yeah, it really has transformed. So if we look up Buxwood School, there we go. So this is where it is. Going out, there's Guestling. We were on the road just there, and so fairly near the sea. You can see Hastings down here, and Rye was up this way, some way, and there's Rye Harbour, there's Rye, Buxwood, yeah, and that was where Broomham was. So its layout was very I mean, they've added a hell of a lot now. There is, let's see, if we go to satellite and you go in, there's a lot there now. Okay, there's the main road, and then you drive up here. The coach would bring us up there. A coach came from London to drop us off. We gathered at Victoria, and then a coach would pick us up, drop us off at Broomham, and that looks like the main building there. All of this, I mean, we didn't have those tennis courts there. We certainly didn't have that pitch there. All the football and cricket was done out here on the main square there. These old buildings have all been redone. Football academy. Right. No, when I went there were 70 or 80 pupils, I think. So anyway, I'll get on to pupils later. So let's talk about the school day. Now, have I got a good picture to go with this? So what was... okay, so we would wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. I'm just trying to find the right picture for this. Let's just pick anyone. Okay, this will do. That's like, what's that? The open day. That's already where it's all trying to look all posh. So let's see. Yeah, okay, that'll do. Right, the school day. Yeah. So 7 a.m. we'd be woken up, and in our dormitories, and there would be about 8 or 9 of us in a dormitory, and it was like old sloping floors, creaking floorboards and stuff, drafty old windows. We had a few blankets on us. We would have to make our beds to the sound of, what woke us up was Radio 4. They put the day-to-day on with Brian Redhead at that time. So then we would queue in lines for breakfast, our house lines. Now it looks something like this. Was the hall. Hasn't changed a vast amount, but there'd be no table there, none of these tables. So the teacher in charge for that meal would stand here, with his girls descending there, and then we would all queue up, all 60, 70 of us, around there and up to here, and in like 4 lines with our houses. There are about 15, 20 of us in each line, and then we would shuffle through into the dining room there, where there were 4 long tables which we would all sit at, and we would have our breakfast, and the teacher would sit at one long table in the middle at one end, all by himself or herself, all lonely, sitting there watching us. Okay, after that we then went and did jobs. We all had jobs. So someone's job was serving in the serving breakfasts and lunches and dinners. Another job could be, there was a lot of sweeping. I did a lot of broom sweeping paths and stuff was mostly the thing, or dusting corridors or something like that. One nice job I had though was I used to record the weather in a little book. Go out and measure the rain and see what direction the wind was going. Then we would have lessons in our classrooms. There don't seem to be any pictures of those classrooms. Don't think you can really see them. They were off down there. They were like massive lean-tos, those rickety old extensions you see on houses from the 50s, 60s, 70s. And we'd be in classes of about 8 or 9. Don't talk about science blocks. I think there was a science classroom which had 1 Bunsen burner in, and that was about it. And Saturdays and Wednesday afternoons were games, and Saturday afternoons were games as well. So that'd be football or cricket, basically. If it was chucking it down with rain, then something would be organised indoors somewhere, somehow. I'll get to the staff later, yeah. So then there'll be lunch, and after lunch you'd have a little lie down for about 15 minutes. You're all sent to bed to lie down 15 minutes for some reason. Then games, as I said, Saturdays, and go back to, what was that one other day? School day. No, school day. There was one here of someone. I think I've already got it open actually. Yes, yeah. So Saturday, that's Mr. Friendly there, I believe, taking an art lesson. Saturdays would be art and drama in the morning. The matches would be played against. There were only about 3 or 4 other schools we used to play against. Bodiam was one, Winehouse, Westerly, just other local preparatory schools, Then we would have prep, as you can see here, after dinner. Would it be before dinner or after dinner? I can't remember. About between 5 or 6 or so. And then it'd be bed at 7:30 probably. The youngest ones went at 7:15 and the oldest ones at 7:45, possibly 8. The only way you could stay up later, and you always want to do that on Thursday for Top of the Pops, was if you got enough stars during the week. So that was the reward and punishment, with stars and stripes. So if you had enough stars, then you were allowed to cash those in for extra half an hour of staying up. So if you're lucky, you could watch the whole of Top of the Pops on a Thursday. Mr. Rackett was a very conservative man, and I think at one point he attempted to ban music, pop music. He thought it was, I don't know what he thought it was, but he wouldn't let us listen to it. Of course, I think people still did, but there was a term or two where we weren't allowed to watch Top of the Pops because he thought it was evil. Great. yeah, I'm coming on to reward and punishment later on that. So Sunday was basically a yawn day. We had church in the morning. It would go, Mr. Rackett would do some sort of service. There would be a reading from the Quran as well. I'll explain that later. Okay, the staff. I don't think there's many pictures of the staff here. You see, but what we do have is the headmaster's garden though. Just going to show that one. We never saw that. That was kind of shut off, so I don't know why it's in the prospectus. Anyway, so we so it was Mr. Rackett. He was the headmaster. First teacher I remember was Mrs. Smith, who took me when I was 9, and she was a very stern and proper lady. Taught us all our lessons because that was in the youngest class. And I remember we had to write letters home once a week, and then she would read them through and check them and do all the spelling and stuff. So all the letters were checked. There was Mr. Titherley who took the games, and he was a lovely bloke. He did all the football and cricket. We didn't do hockey or anything. It was just football, cricket were the main things. He actually used to play for Spurs back in the day, and Kenneth Titherley, great guy. I think he died in around 2016-17 or thereabouts, and he was 92, and he owned a shop in the village, and those over 14 were allowed to go to the shop on a Saturday or something to spend their money. The rest of us there was a tuck shop in at the school, and the way you could buy money from that, I think the maximum we were allowed to spend when I got there was 25p, and you had to write a cheque, so you picked up, a couple of blackjacks and mojos or a curly whirly, and that comes to 18p. I can afford a packet of prawn cocktail crisps as well. Okay, that's 25p, right? You have to write your cheque out because you weren't allowed to actually handle money. We did get to handle money when we phoned home. We had to queue up to use the phone, and that was 10. You got your 10p's. There was one payphone. Everyone thought that we were always being listened to by the headmaster as well. Anyway, right. So the staff, Mr. Ledbetter, I mentioned him. He was great. I remember he was good at fencing. He did scouts and drama. I mean, he taught everything. He taught English and geography and stuff as well. But he was great because he gave us a lot of freedom. He took us down into the fields, which aren't really fields anymore. It's taken up by that. But yeah, all down there, and we would play British Bulldog and make tents and fires and stuff like this. And yeah, it was great. And lots of drama. I played the part of Joseph in Joseph and the Technicolor Dreamcoat, which was nice. Also, there was Mrs. Rackett, who was a force of nature. She looked like a skeleton. She was, I guess, if you met her socially, she would have a heart of gold. But she was really strict and kept us all in line, even though she was, 5'1". Boy, she could get angry, The staff all lived in little nooks and crannies across the little rooms that were dotted around the place, because it was right sprawling sort of place. So lots of little rooms and nooks and crannies, upstairs and downstairs, where the teachers lived. There was the deputy headmaster, Mr. Joyce, had a house which was down by the buckets and spades thing. What's the buckets and spades? I don't suppose you can really see, but anyway, it was down there, down by that area. Right. So, reward and punishment. I think I mentioned stars and stripes. There was also, of course, the cane and the slipper. I got both. I got one for mucking around in choir practice with a friend. Not choir practice, singing practice. We had to practice the hymns. On Saturday, we practiced the hymns that we sung on the Sunday. And it was pretty dull, and me and Anthony mucked about, and then the next day we were informed that we'd been caught mucking about, and we were given a slipper, five hits of the slipper. I think I was also caught stealing. Well, someone else was caught stealing, and he distributed it to the rest of us in the dormitory. And I think we went back for more, and then we got the cane for that. It was like these toffee things out the back of the tuck cupboard. Right. The boys and girls of the school, because there were girls, there were not many girls. I think there were, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, something like that, when I was there. Possibly none when I started. But anyway, there's a picture of a sports day. There's me, and there's some of the boys there. But I didn't have any shoes on for some reason. Not many of them do. Anyway, so it was actually quite a diverse school. So it was ages 9 up to about 15. Actually, no, I think there was an 8-year-old in a dormitory once. Yeah, up to about 15 or so. So there were, apart from kids from Sussex and London and Kent, I remember Nigerians, there was a French guy, Swiss guy, a couple of Dutch, someone from Bahrain, Americans, Arabians, German, but the biggest group of all, apart from English, was Iranians. It was probably about a quarter of the school came from Iran. I don't know why, but I suppose word must have spread throughout their community, and they all came over from Iran. I don't know, some of them might have lived in Britain, I don't know. But anyway, there was one, the revolution happened while I was there, because I started January 79, and then the revolution happened. There was one guy who never came back, and no one ever heard of him or why. He just never turned up one term, so we assumed he got caught up in the revolution somehow. I just remember about these guys, I don't remember a lot of the first names, because everyone was called by their second names, and I haven't known a lot of Iranians in my life after that, so a lot of their first names escape me. I remember they were all interested in the Israeli elections all the time when they were happening. They were, everyone integrated okay. I don't think there was any problems. It was just, what they did, the schools, there was a Europe versus Asia football match once a year, which is a bit odd. I don't know how the non-Europeans or Asians felt, the Africans and the Americans. But anyway, Europe versus Asia, and that happened. I remember Europe won 4-1 one year, but anyway, which was odd because the Iranians were already good at football. They were all in first 11. Anyway. So you had, sports days. There's now got another picture of a sports day here. I think that's me in the middle again. See, I'm not wearing any shoes again. The others are, anyway. And yes, sports days. There was leave. If you wanted leave, there were weekend. You could go for the day. Your parents could pick you up for the day, or you get special overnight leave, which was very cherished. I remember going on some leaves with friends. I remember a Nigerian guy called John, went out with him to Hastings. His uncle came and gave us £5 or a tenner or something. We played on the slot machines all day. It was great. I used to go and see Henry. He lived out in the countryside. He had a pony. His dad was in the army. And it was very different to our house in London. We lived in a terrace house in London, tall terrace house. So that's very different. What else was there? Oh yeah, the sausages. Yes. There were a lot of because there were a lot of Muslims at the school. So on the Sunday, one of them, I think it was he was actually the school captain or something. He stood up and read from the Quran as part of the service for the day. I remember the sausages were found. They came out. Mrs. Longmore, she was the caterer, she came out and announced to us that all these beef sausages that they had been giving people were actually found to have had pork in them. So there's a couple of Jewish people there as well. So they were all a bit upset about that. They had been eating pork. So that was a bit awkward. Yeah, there's another view of that. I think there were some tennis courts down here. This is to the side. Can't really see the rest of the dilapidated old buildings, but they're down there where we had our lessons. Yeah. So when I got there, it was one story I remember. I came from London. I don't know why my mum said some phrase I remembered, and it was like the first sort of church thing of the first Sunday, and they were asking, "Oh, was there a time when you've helped your parents?" And I wanted to be all keen, so I put my hand up, got a 9-year-old, and said, "Yeah, sometimes I go down to the shop for my mum when she can't be fagged." So this caused great hilarity amongst all those. They thought I was some sort of geezer because I said the word fagged, but I wasn't. I was a very proper little boy, don't worry. What else have I got to show you? Okay. Let's just run through some of the pictures. Okay, there's tennis lesson. There's the pool. Judo. First 11 match up front. Yeah, okay. There's the pool nowadays. The Buxwood pool. Looks a lot fancier. Well careful. But the pool, yeah, we had a swimming sports day as well. View from a dormitory. I guess it is, yeah, from one of the dormitories possibly. So there's the pool, surrounded in its little garden. Oh look, there's the garden there. So it was self-cater. There was a couple that lived there in their 50s, I guess. Very quiet. They never said anything, talk to anyone, but they did all cooking and they did a lot of growing as well. So a lot of our veg was grown at the school by that couple. Oh, I remember there was a science teacher, Mr. Maggs. He was great. Yeah, he used to tell us stories about battles in the Second World War. That was fun. Okay, so this is the hall now at Buxwood. Oh, that's very fancy. We certainly didn't have any fancy mirrors or armour there because we would all be queued up in there on these pictures. So they'd probably all come to harm with all us lot there. We wouldn't be trusted near books and stuff like that. What else is there? Oh, Broomham in the snow. A rare picture of Broomham in the snow. I used to snow a lot back then. Anyway. Who's that idiot? Oh, God. Lots of second and third place badges at Sports Day. This is some of the surrounding countryside. Beautiful, isn't it? Dungeness is around there somewhere, and I think that's a view from Rye somewhere, which is nearby. So, I think I've said everything that I thought of saying about Broomham School. Strange little place. 1982, I passed my common entrance and got out of there. And I was supposed to say something profound, aren't I, about Broomham? Well, I can say it was a very odd experience, really. Very in our little world, and we were all very much controlled by Mr. and Mrs. Racket. And yeah, we were very cooped up. So thanks to Mr. Ledbetter and others for taking us so long walks around the cliffs of Hastings and stuff over the weekend, giving us some relief from the claustrophobia of the school. But I suppose I'll say that, but there was sort of freedom just to wander around those really long Sunday afternoons. I remember just wandering around, looking at the peacocks in the gardens, and climbing the tractor when no one's looking. There were donkeys there, you could look at those, just wandering off to the woods, which probably weren't supposed to do. Yeah, very strange, really. But there you go. Right, I hope you've enjoyed that, and or if you went there, leave a comment, or if you've got any other memories you wanna share, leave a comment or any questions. But there you go. It looks like it's really tidied up its act now as Buxwood, and it's certainly very different from when I was there. So thank you very much. Cheerio. Bye.